It's good to talk to you, Bill.
It's Woody and Mark Kiszla and Les. All right, just so you know, you're going to get it from three sides here, Bill. Okay.
Let's go.
It reminds you it reminds you of your press conferences you had when you were playing with the Broncos. Same three guys.
Do I need to get padded up for this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's start out with easy. How do the Raiders beat the Broncos? I know that sounds like a simple question, but how did they do it? What would they have to do to beat the Broncos this week?
I think what they'd have to do is get turnovers on defense. You know, we've seen Peyton turn the ball over this year, and it seems like more than past years. And you look at, I want to say it's 5 interceptions and 6 touchdowns, something like that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's that is something that's usually probably 10 to 12 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, and that's the difference so far. I think he got off to a very slow start, having to learn a new system, being forced early in the season to have to play under center a little more than he wanted to. And I think over time, him being back in the shotgun here over the next couple weeks, he's going to get more and more comfortable with what he has. Another issue I see is, and everyone, I'm sure you guys talk about it, is the offensive line is not as good as they were in the past. And because of that, he's got another half a second. He's got to get rid of the ball even faster. So that, and I think not having Julius Thomas is another big factor, because I think he was a big target for him, and losing him was another thing. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and everyone's thinking it's Peyton, he's getting old, but I really don't think that's the issue, because you don't fall off a cliff like the one people are talking about that he's falling off of when you work as hard as he does.
Bill, let me try it again. So how did the Raiders then beat the Broncos?
Well,
I mean, what are the Raiders going to do after all you've said? If you're Jack Del Rio,
they need to get turnovers. Okay, they need to somehow, some way, establish some kind of a running game, and that's not going to be easy against the Bronco defense. And the Raiders do not have a real strong offensive line. They're better pass blockers than they are run blockers. So I think it's going to be a lot of quick passes. I think they need to get Carr out of the pocket, utilize his legs, cut the field in half, be able to make some throws. And if they're able to do that and Amari's able to get deep on some of these good corners, I think they can keep this game hopefully fairly close.
Derek Carr, second-year quarterback. Is he the real deal or not, and how good a quarterback can he be in the NFL?
Well, I think you look at last week against Chicago, and because the offensive line did not block very well against that good Chicago front four, he struggled, and it's like he never got into any kind of a rhythm. You look at the Baltimore game and the Cincinnati game, which the Cincinnati game was probably the best football game he's ever played as a pro. And, you know, he got in a rhythm early. So, you know, somehow, some way, Derek has got to get in a rhythm early. Is he the real deal? Absolutely. He's still young, and, you know, when someone asks me the question, is this player the real deal, they've got to show it more than a handful of games. So this guy has got 5 wins under his belt in the NFL. So I can't say he's the real deal yet, but I think he's got a lot of promise.
Hey, Bill, how do you like Jack Del Rio as a head coach, and what has he brought to the Raiders organization?
You know what? He's brought a different culture. And I think what really helped him is, you know, we all know that the Raiders have hired a lot of inexperienced coaches over the years. They were coaches that, under Al Davis, that he could control. And then they took, then they took a stab at Dennis Allen, who had never been a head coach under the Reggie McKenzie, Mark Davis era. And now you have a guy that's been there, done it. And I think being a defensive coordinator and, a head coach for a short period of time in Denver, what he learned how a top-shelf organization is run is what he's trying to bring to the Raiders. So he's brought a new culture. He brings a level of toughness that I don't think they've had. I think he brings a lot of knowledge, experience of the way things should be run. And as I've said earlier, they haven't had that in a long time.
Bill, a question, two-part question that I can't think of anybody better to ask than you. The two greatest inside linebackers in Broncos history were Randy Gradishar and Bill Romanowski. I would put Mecklenburg in there, but he was all over everywhere. You guys were inside linebackers full-time. Brandon Marshall, I don't know how much you've been able to watch him, but he was on the way to the Pro Bowl as an outside linebacker last year. He has been graded out this year as the best inside linebacker in the NFL based on what Pro Football Focus. Have you seen enough of him to see if he can be not in the class with Bill Romanowski and Randy Gradishar, but be an exceptional inside linebacker? I know what you said about Carr. We have to see people more than just a few games. But the second part of it is you played on really good defenses here, the Randy Gradishar defenses, the Orange Crush. How does this defense compare to those defenses?
So first, as far as Brandon goes, an exceptional young talent. Speed, quickness. He's got the hips to where he can explode on contact. He can cover, he can run. There really isn't anything he can't do. But what makes it really special is having that defensive front that he has. I was fortunate at the Denver Broncos when we were winning championships. Our defensive line was really good up front. And that made it a lot easier for me, whether I was playing inside, and if you know the way I played, I was inside and I played outside. I was covering both, but I played also a lot of inside linebacker. And what enabled me to make plays is great penetration up front. And I was very fortunate to play with a lot of great football players, Alfred Williams, Neil Smith, Keith Traylor. I can go on and on and on. So I think if he's able to stay healthy and if he wants it, at the end of the day, he's young, and how will he be when he gets a big pot full of money? There's going to be the question. Money didn't affect me. I wanted to be great. I wanted to be the absolute best I could be, and that's what drove me. I don't know what drives this young kid. I think he's going to be a phenomenal young talent.
Well, lack of money has never driven me, Bill. But go back to the second question. What do you think in terms of this defense against championship defenses? And you played on championship defenses for different teams. San Francisco, you play with the Raiders, you play with the Broncos. What do you think of this defense?
I think you could somewhat compare it to, I would say, the San Francisco 49er defenses when I had first gotten there because of how good we were up front. But the one thing that really separates it is we had one dominant outside pass rusher, and then we had good inside pass rushers. The Denver Broncos this year have two of the best outside linebackers that can get outside linebackers / defensive end that can both get to the quarterback at the highest level in the NFL. that makes it very hard for offenses because they can't turn the protection one way or the other. They have to pick, and then they got to leave a back in for the other side, or they got to put a tight end and hopefully get a chip of some sort, because both Mon and Ware are two of the best in the National Football League. I've never been on a team that had two pass rushers like that.
Those edge rushers you mentioned are very intimidating to an opposing quarterback. But I say this with the utmost respect. I think a great defense needs one guy that's mean, nasty, and willing to get up in your grill.
That sounds like Bill Romanowski.
I think it does sound like Bill Romanowski. Who's that guy on this Denver defense?
You know what? To me, for some reason, I watch Talib, and he seems to be, he's got a safety linebacker mentality playing cornerback. You know, he seems to be the nastiest guy on some level on that defense.
You're exactly right. Why do you can you tell that the guy's nasty, especially a cornerback, because they're usually not nasty?
I know, but he's just mean. You can just watch, when you watch, hey, it doesn't take me long to find who the meanest guy out on the field is.
Yeah.
And I've watched him enough to know he's just darn right mean. I think when he was born, he came out mean. He came out with a scowl on his face. And as he grew up, it just stayed there. And that guy I have a lot of respect for the way he plays the game. And I tell you what, I think the Oakland Raider receivers are in for a really long day.
Hey,
See,
Bill,
I always thought it was sort of blood on the teeth and chicken feathers coming out of the mouth. That's how I found out who the meanest guy was.